Okay, so the preseason unofficially opened this morning. Well, last night, kind of this morning. Started at 11:30 p.m. my time, so it was last night, but it ends like 2 in the morning. I didn't watch it. For anybody wondering, I didn't watch it. I love my Bruins. I'm not staying up that late to watch a preseason game. It's not happening. Even though it was in China and Boston wins it in a shootout. The shootout winner was scored by Louis DeBrusque. No, it was scored by Jake DeBrusque. I make that mistake. John Moore scores a goal in his first preseason game as a Bruin. Ryan Donato gets a goal as well, and I think the Bruins are intentionally getting guys like Donato and DeBrusque to try to throw me off because uh, family members with different first names have played in the NHL previously. Trent Frederick gets a goal as well. Now, Frederick has a really good camp and plays really well in the preseason. If he can make the Bruins down the middle, that could be huge. Even if he ends up playing on the wing, that could be huge because we know Krejci's a little past his prime, and Bergeron can't go forever. So hopefully we see guys like Donato and Frederick who are going to step up and be the next guys. Scoring for Calgary, coming back from a 3-0 deficit. Giordano with two and Monahan with one of his own. So again, with these games, it's interesting because Gary Bettman is also on the record saying that he could see the NHL playing regular season games in China, which is odd because China's not traditionally a hockey country. They had to explain rules to the Chinese crowd. And to me, it sounds like for the next Olympics, which are in China, the next Winter Olympics are in China, that they want to go. That the NHL wants to send teams over and their best players over because they understand that there's a lot of money to be made in China. But at the same time, anything that's been said publicly has been about how it was better to not mess with the last the last regular season for the Olympics, and everything was just better. But to me, it looks like they're laying the groundwork to send hockey players from the NHL to the Chinese games. It's going to be interesting to see how that works with the next collective bargaining agreement. It may be the players demanding we want to go to China, and the NHL going twisted our rubber arms, got it, going to China, and then not committing to any games beyond that. That's an NHL type move. Um, and on in terms of preseason, let's talk about some camp stuff. Ryan Kessler's on the ice, but he's not yet cleared for full practice and for full contact and all those things. So Kessler's out on the ice. Odds are he's testing his back. He's not going to say it. Um, GM Murray is on the record saying last season, we went with the doctor's advice on what to do with Ryan's back. This year, we're not taking that advice. To which I think, pardon? Because he says that Kessler's back didn't get any better, so they're just going to not take that advice. Pardon? You know, I know Bob Murray has been in this job for a while, and I'm not trying to question him on it, but if a doctor comes out and says, this should help, and then it doesn't, that tells me that it might be worse than what they think. So to turn around and go, well, we're just not going to listen to the doctor. Hopefully they're getting different advice or a different doctor or something. And it's not a matter of them just saying, oh, we're just going to go rogue with this. Because while we may not like Ryan Kessler, and there's a lot of people that don't, I certainly wouldn't want to see him having troubles later in life because the Ducks pushed him to play when he probably shouldn't because of his back. Jamie McGinn's out for indefinite. That wonderful indefinite phrase for the Florida Panthers after back surgery, which it's a good thing that the Florida Panthers have an excessive number of forwards and players, and this is where that depth should really help them out. So we'll see what happens. I mean, McGinn wasn't, lighting up the score sheet a lot. More of on the defensive side of things for him, bottom six. So they should be able to absorb that loss for however long that takes. Um, if you're a Canuck fan, Dominic Roussel has a concussion. Had it in an informal scrimmage. Uh, so this is how it's gonna go this year, huh? Canucks are getting injured before the preseason starts. Gotcha. Yeah, all right. Um, eh, I see your Achilles tendon and I raise you a concussion. Vancouver answering Ottawa. And it's Roussel, a guy who I like Roussel, and I think Antoine Roussel is going to do very well in Vancouver. And it's funny because people say, "Oh, he's getting too much money, too much money." he plays the agitator role really well. And he obviously doesn't have the offense of a Brad Marchand. However, Antoine is capable of putting the puck in the net here and there. And I didn't find that his abrasive style of play hurt Dallas often. It did sometimes, but not often, where you'd end up killing a penalty that otherwise you shouldn't be killing, that it's just pointless. But Roussel, I think once he's on the ice for the Canucks, concussion bothers me a little bit. But once that's passed and they've got him back on the ice and everything's okay, I really think Canuck fans are going to like him quite a bit. Joel Ward is in Montreal on a player's professional tryout. And we'll see how that works out for him. I like Joel Ward. I think he's a useful fourth line guy. He has been a key guy in the past. Clutch, not key, but a clutch player in the past. And I think he still has that in him somewhere. And we'll see what happens for him with Montreal. Montreal definitely could use a player like him on their roster. I would not be surprised to see him end up with a contract. Ryan Suter is skipping the preseason. So he is aiming to be able to play the first game of the regular season and was advised by Bruce Boudreau. It really wouldn't serve him any good to play in the preseason if he's not feeling 100% yet. Just don't worry about it. Just make sure that you're ready to go at the start of October. So it's a smart coach. It's a coach with a good relationship with the player in this case. We won't be seeing Ryan Suter in the preseason. Articles on both Sportsnet and TSN about Jake Gardiner. So Gardiner shows up for training camp and right away, how do you feel after Game 7 against Boston? That's got to be awful. Honestly, that's just got to be awful. That he spent all summer probably thinking about that game, stewing on that game, and he gets to training camp. And the first thing that the Toronto media does is, hey, how about that game you sucked in? Remember that one? He's like, yeah. How do you feel about that? Did you suck? Yeah. And he's actually doubled down and said that he wants to stay in Toronto. That even though he's a UFA next summer, he would like to stay in Toronto. He wants to be a Maple Leaf. And honestly, and I know he wasn't good in that game against Boston, but in his defense, I honestly think that Gardiner, on the offensive side of things, is fantastic. What they need for him is to have a really true Mark Mathot style shutdown guy like Carlson had in 2016-17 with the Ottawa Senators. They need somebody next to him that no matter what mistake he may make offensively is going to be back to cover. And that can be tricky. And I know they tried Pollock in that role. I know that there are a few guys there who may be able to play that role, but I don't feel like Toronto has that true like Mark Mathot type. And we'll see if one of the guys coming out of camp maybe can take that. Because honestly, Gardiner's offensive instincts are strong. I know his defense is weak. But I also think that there's been a lot of demonizing him. And just getting rid of him for the sake of getting rid of him is an Ottawa type thing to do. And you don't want to start getting into that. Panarin. Artemi Panarin is still a Columbus Blue Jacket. We are past his deadline to get traded. Therefore, he will be a Columbus Blue Jacket for the regular season. And he has an X-Strain. That's it. And they're not saying much about how he got it or what's going on, just that it's an X-Strain, which means he could be out for a day, could be out for a week. We just don't know. It's one of those things. It could be a nagging injury. I didn't mention yesterday, but Connor Murphy of the Chicago Blackhawks is out 8 weeks. So, injured, Murphy out 8 weeks. For a team that there's some defensive depth there in Chicago, and I think this is a chance for a guy like Forsling to really step it up. I like Forsling a lot. I'm still not happy that the Canucks traded him, and I think this could be a breakout year for Forsling, so this is a good chance for him with a guy ahead of him getting hurt. And it's bad news for Murphy, because Murphy did not have a great year last year in Chicago. He was traded in for Hjalmarsson, and definitely didn't live up to his advanced billing that first year. And we'll see how it works out from this year, but it's not a good start when you get injured before the season starts. And interesting note, Montreal's first practice, Jonathan Drouin lined up at left wing. Left wing, with Domi taking the spot in the middle. So they're messing with that out of the gate, but honestly, I like Drouin on the wing more than at center. And we'll see if that's how things end up for Montreal. And I think this is part of the reason why they're willing to entertain Jesperi Kotkaniemi being on the team right out of the gate, is because of the fact that I think they know that Drouin is more comfortable on the left side, and I think they know he's more effective on the left side. It isn't just about whether or not a guy can take faceoffs. It's not just about, points. Where is he comfortable? Where does he feel the best? Where does he feel most confident going out on the ice? And for Drouin, the answer on all those is left wing. Is he willing to play center? Absolutely. He's a team guy. I haven't seen anything in any quotes since he went to Montreal where he hasn't been a good team player. But I honestly think that if he was on the left side, I think that would take a lot of the weight off of him. And if Domi's capable of making that move to center, which would be, it would be ironic if both Domi and Galchenyuk made successful transitions to center with brand new teams. That we've argued all summer over which team benefited from the trade, and then the end result is both. So, I don't think Domi has the goal-scoring upside of a Galchenyuk, certainly, but he has the playmaking. So if Drouin can put up some goals, and see, this is where that goes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Montreal in the preseason and beyond. But let me know what you guys think about the opening of training camp, who you're going to be keeping your eye on. It's going to be a very interesting preseason. I will be watching as much of it as I can. There's some games on tomorrow. Preseason games don't get shown on TV very often, and I'm not a huge fan of watching the other various streaming services online. I prefer to just watch on TV because I'm old. It's an old man thing. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.